Welcome into the Steelers Talk mailbag here in Week 8. I'm your host, Jack Sperry. Today I'm answering your questions on the black and gold before this team takes on the Green Bay Packers in Week 8 on Sunday Night Football. It's going to be a really fun game to watch with you guys. We're going to be going live for our live watch party starting at 7 p.m. Eastern Time for those of you interested. And make sure you guys click that subscribe button to join the most interactive Steelers community here on YouTube for Steelers fans. All right, we have over 100,000 subscribers, so we have a very large family here on Steelers Talk. We also have community polls every single day on the channel as well. We have multiple videos where you guys can get involved in the comment section, and then we go live every Tuesday and Thursday. And on the Thursday live shows, we answer your questions on these mailbags. So if you guys want to have a voice in Steelers Nation, if you guys want to have a voice on our channel and our community, you guys can click that subscribe button. And let's get into the questions. First one from Bernard says, do you think the defense can bounce back this week? I do. I think they can. The question is, will they? And will, specifically in my mind, will this Steelers coaching staff figure out some of the schematics differences that they need to make in this kind of scheme where it's a lot of man coverage, it's a lot of straight-up man coverage, and Jalen Ramsey and Darius Slay are losing a lot when they're playing those types of coverages. So I think they got to play more man-match stuff. I think they got to play more zone. I think they got to play more traditional man coverage, not with 5 rushers. I think that opens up the middle of the field and provides a very big weakness for this Steelers defense, and that's like the number one coverage that they run is a cover 1 blitz with no intermediate zone defender. So they need to stop doing that, in my opinion, and Mike Tomlin and Terrell Austin need to take the hint that is very evident on the film where that's just not working. So they got to switch some things up, but if they can make the proper adjustments, I still do believe, Bernard, that this defense has the talent to be a top 10 unit down the stretch, and if you combine a top 10 offense with a top 10 defense, when it matters in January, this is a Steelers team that is very dangerous and can beat anybody on any given Sunday and could even win their 7th Lombardi trophy this year, but they got to turn the defense around. Then we got one from Justin Watson, my man, says this would be a perfect match zone team. Mike Tomlin refuses. At least to this point, they haven't played a ton of match zone, Justin. They've played a lot of straight-up man coverage, which has left them vulnerable to rub concepts. And we certainly saw that against Cincinnati. And also with the specific type of man that they play, which is called man-free, that same coverage I was talking about without the intermediate zone defender, quarterbacks can pretty much just locate their favorite receiver, and more than likely he's going to be wide open against the corner that's covering him. So it just allows quarterbacks to get the ball off too quickly. It prevents this very expensive, very good defensive line and pass rush to get home and earn their money and earn their keep on this defense. So they got to find ways to, make these quarterbacks hold on to the ball a little bit longer. And as you mentioned, those match zone teams around the league, like Mike McDonald, Robert Saleh, Vic Fangio, Brian Flores, all these teams and all these philosophies all go back to Saban with the match zone stuff that he ran at Alabama. I think that the Steelers, who have run a lot of match zone in years past, they have been, in some years, very quarters and palms heavy. But this year hasn't been so much. I think they need to get back to that, and I think they got to play more zone coverages where they're rotating post-snap and then reading the eyes of the quarterback. And then when they do play man coverage, only rush with 4, all right? You don't have to rush with 5 and leave the middle of the field wide open when you play man. So those would be my suggestions, Justin. Appreciate the $2 super chat. What say you guys? Let me know down there in the comments section. Will this defense bounce back against the Packers this Sunday night? Give me a yes or a no down there in the comments section. Tell you this, though, man, Matt LaFleur, Jordan Love, Josh Jacobs, if this defense can corral this group to, around 20 points, I would be very happy with that. This will be the pinned comment on today's show, so YouTube's going to throw you an ad break here in just a few seconds. When that happens, take advantage of that time by simply giving me a yes or a no down there in the comments. $5 from Shannon Cassidy says, am I the only one who thinks Cam looks unmotivated? For me, I would disagree with that, Shannon, and the reason for that is because, first of all, he is incentivized to get production because he can make more money by being more productive. So, I don't think that he's unmotivated whatsoever. And even in that game against the Bengals, I thought he had some awesome, really quick wins one-on-one versus his guy. And unfortunately, Joe Flacco was just getting rid of the football within like 2 seconds, 2.5 seconds, and Cam didn't have time to get to him. And that's unfortunate. If the defense and the secondary would have held up an extra half second longer, it would have been multiple sacks on the evening. for Cam Heyward. We would be talking about him right now like he's, playing awesome. But, frankly, the secondary hasn't been able to provide the opportunities for this pass rush as of yet. Hopefully they can in the weeks to come. Interstellar Reaper here with a 5 says, do you agree that the Steelers should try and acquire or trade for as many draft picks as possible for 2026 in Pittsburgh? I don't. I think this team is still capable of being a Super Bowl contender. But obviously we talked about some of the things they need to figure out on the defensive side of the ball, but they have the talent, in my opinion. They really do. Like, it's not something where like this team is just not talented enough to, get there. It's more of they just got to put the right puzzle pieces together to create that beautiful picture, right? And right now those pieces are out of alignment, so it's a pretty ugly picture. So you got to, just put these things in alignment to kind of put this puzzle together. And, you already have 12 draft picks. So, like, do you need more than 12 draft picks? 7 of them in the first, 3-4 rounds? Like, it's got a lot of draft picks, man. And you got a lot of draft capital that you've accrued over the year. And if you don't want to give up any of that, like, you can stand pat and not make a trade by the deadline. You could certainly go that direction. I know this team has been pretty precious with their draft picks, but in terms of trading players away and selling at the deadline, despite being 4-2, first in the division, all this stuff, it just doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me personally, Interstellar. And I think, if anything, the Steelers are going to be buying at the deadline. Now, before we get into the rest of the questions today, let's have a word from our sponsor at Omaha Steaks. Omaha Steaks is the official sponsor of tailgating this football season. From legendary burgers to mouth-watering steaks, deli-style franks, and so much more, you'll elevate your next game day get-together with America's original butcher. And now with our exclusive code, Steelers, you can get $35 off at omahasteaks.com. Terms apply. See site for details. But guys, Omaha Steaks has been America's original butcher since 1917. Every steak is perfectly aged to maximize tenderness and hand-cut by master butchers in America's heartland. Grass-fed, grain-finished beef has more marbling for exceptional flavor and is the choice of steakhouses and professional chefs around the world. Omaha Steaks offers unrivaled quality and variety, and every bite is backed by their 100% guarantee. They also carry mouth-watering burgers, chicken, pork, and seafood, plus delectable desserts. Make game day delicious with our friends at Omaha Steaks today, the official sponsor of tailgating this football season. Visit omahasteaks.com and get $35 off with promo code Steelers at checkout. That's omahasteaks.com and promo code Steelers at checkout. Terms apply. See site for details, and a big thank you to Omaha Steaks for sponsoring today's edition of Steelers Talk. Next question coming in from my man Dominic Schrader, one of the OGs. Says, Jack, did you get your 100K steak dinner? I did. I forgot to get a picture, but Steelers Smitty is a man of his word. He's a good guy. He's a good friend of mine. We had a great evening. We went to Dakota's Steakhouse, my favorite steakhouse in the world, here in Dallas, Texas. And it's a really cool spot where you take an elevator down to like this little kind of speakeasy type place. They've got a waterfall, they've got live piano music, and they've got the best food you've ever had in your life, ladies and gentlemen, man. You got steak, all right? You've got the best mac and cheese I've ever had in my life. Amazing desserts, and it was all on Steelers Smitty. So thank you for asking this question, Dominic. Steelers Smitty, I hope you're watching. Thanks for the steak, buddy. All right, now before we get into the final questions on this week's mailbag, click that thumbs up icon if you are a real one. Really do appreciate all the support you give to me and Ponzi and our entire team here at Steelers Talk. So make sure you click that subscribe button and click that thumbs up icon to let other new eyes see our channel and click that subscribe button as well. My man, Czar Craig, what's up, Craig? Says, I know it's early, but how big of a contract do you think Calvin Austin III will command this offseason? Well, we'll see what he does the rest of the season, right, Craig? Like, it's really going to depend on what the production looks like this year. If this offense targets him in the way that I think that he could be targeted, we could be looking somewhere like $15 million per season, maybe. I think could be a good price tag for him. He's undersized, but he's inside-outside versatile, okay? He can also run up really good routes. He's also really good after the catch, and he's also a great deep threat with his speed, all right? And, I think the reason why, Calvin maybe isn't known as a yak threat is because, frankly, this offense hasn't used him as a yak threat all that much. It's been, he hasn't really gotten a lot of slants and all these different things that get him the ball out in space, but, like, the potential certainly there with Calvin to be like one of the premier yak threats in the league because we see what he does with the ball in his hands in space as a punt returner. It's special. He's got the great speed. He's tiny, so he's tough to tackle. I think Calvin Austin's one of the more underrated receivers in the entire National Football League. Been saying that for a while now, and this team really likes him. So that's where I'm at. Ali the Reaper says, do you think we get Calvin Ridley or go for a cornerback by the trade deadline? I kind of doubt they get a corner because they are already paying Slay so much. And, I think if they're going to bench Slay, they like Brandon Echols. And Brandon Echols has played good enough where if you're benching somebody, I think you'd rather have Brandon Echols play than trade for a corner by the deadline. Like, is Roger McCreary definitely better than Brandon Echols? I certainly wouldn't love trading a draft pick for McCreary at this point. Tyreek Woolen, or Reek Woolen, who's been outcasted by Mike McDonald there in Seattle, is he going to be much better than Brandon Echols? Like, I don't think that they're going to trade for a corner. I think it's possible they trade for Ridley. I think Tennessee probably doesn't want to keep around a pretty much 30-year-old kind of older player on a big contract when, frankly, Cam Ward has had better connections with other people in that receiver room. I think they want to get younger. I think they want to get less expensive, and getting rid of Calvin Ridley can help them do that. Plus, they can get, I think, a decent draft pick for him. So if I'm Tennessee, I'm probably trying to shop Calvin Ridley. And if I'm the Steelers, I mean, Ridley's an amazing route runner and a great deep threat. He doesn't have the best hands in the world, so just keep that in mind. But he's got good size, really great speed, great acceleration, and really good route running as well. So I would certainly take him. Then we got JT Clover says, there's been some talk on X about Minkah. Would you make a trade before the deadline for about a fourth? And would he want to come back? Pretty sure because he was traded away from the Steelers this year that the Steelers can't trade for him this season. I think that's a rule where you can't trade for players that you've traded away in the same league year. Pretty sure that's the case. I think they would have to release Minkah Fitzpatrick for the Steelers to be eligible to bring him back, at least this season. They can trade for him next offseason if they're going to unload him then, but I think until the new – if I'm not mistaken, I could be wrong on this, but I don't think they're eligible to trade for him before the deadline. Minkah's a good player, man. I think he's actually played pretty well in Miami this year. Good for him. I think, he's had a big bounce-back year this year, and, if they're not going to just cut him. So I think he may get traded before the deadline, but JT, I would say it's probably pretty unlikely that they end up that he ends up on the Steelers at any point this season. So let me know what you guys think down there in the comment section. Who is the Steelers MVP halfway through the season? Is it Jaylen Warren? Is it Aaron Rodgers? Is it somebody else? Let me know what you guys think down there in the comment section. Thank you so much for all the great questions this week, guys. Click that subscribe button if you haven't already. I greatly appreciate all of your guys' support. And until next time, guys, here we go, Steelers.